Hello again, Queen Rain here, and today I'm going to be doing a follow-up video on something I mentioned earlier in a previous level, actually in, I believe Brimspark level 2. I don't remember the name of the mine. Anyway, so here I am doing a weapons demonstration. I'll go through all the various weapons in the inventory and explain their various uses. I do have cheats enabled just for this video, so that I can have all the weapons without having to go track them all down. So we'll start easy. Right now I have the level 6 super laser selected. It's in quad laser mode. It's a fairly standard point-and-shoot weapon. It does have some impact force to it, and will shove around robots if it hits them. The level 4 laser does this a lot more. Next up is the Vulcan Cannon. The Vulcan Cannon is another point-and-shoot weapon. It is one of 2 hit-scan weapons in the game. It fires pretty darn fast. You can burn up a lot of ammunition using it. It's best used for when you're down in an area with lava. You can use the chain gun on the lava, and the lava explosion is more powerful than the chain gun's impact. Next up is the Gauss Cannon. Those of you that watched my Let's Play videos saw me using this weapon almost exclusively because it's extremely powerful, and you can click off single rounds with it, or so. It actually is more like a shotgun than it is like a cannon, but it is also one of 2 hit-scan weapons. Next up is the Spread Fire Cannon. It fires 2 shots horizontally, or 3 shots horizontally and 3 shots vertically. It has a wider spread. It's pretty useful at short range, although not so great at long range. Next up is the Helix Cannon. Anyone who saw me doing my Let's Play video knows that I like to use this weapon for destroying bosses and reactors. It fires a spread of 6 shots in a helix pattern. It's very damaging to robots, but consumes a huge amount of energy to fire for sustained amounts of time. Next up is the Plasma Cannon. It's a fairly rapid-fire weapon. I believe it's got the 2nd highest firing rate of all energy weapons. Damage is pretty okay with it. You don't want to fire it for long periods of time because, as you can see, it consumes energy very rapidly. In Descent 3, this weapon got a significant change for the better. Its firing rate dropped a little bit, but its damage and its energy consumption got shifted in good directions. It consumes very little energy and it's very powerful. Next up is the Phoenix Cannon. Those of you familiar with the Smelter will have encountered this weapon quite a bit. The shots from this weapon will reflect. It's very important to keep in mind that the shots will be bouncing back at you if you're careless. Trying to get the shots to reflect here. There we go. This weapon consumes a huge amount of energy. About 1 energy per shot. Okay, 1 energy for about every 2 shots. It's not a very efficient weapon, but it makes up for it by having an extremely high firing rate and being extremely powerful. Next up is the Fusion Cannon. I don't use this weapon very often because I don't find it to be particularly useful, but experienced Descent players will know that this weapon is extremely powerful at long range, even if it's got a fairly slow travel velocity. You will notice that it shoves the Pyro GX when you fire it. You have to keep that in mind. And if you overcharge it and it switches to yellow mode, it will damage your shields. However, the longer you charge it up, the more powerful the shots will be. Finally, the Omega Cannon. I find this to be the most useless weapon in the game because it has an extremely limited range. Very, very limited. Ridiculously limited. I cannot hit this hatch down here with it. That hatch is not particularly far away. The plus side about the Omega Cannon is that it is very damaging at short range. So it's good if you want to pick off things like, I don't know, spawn bots, or I suppose sidearm modula that are in your face and you can't get a fix on them. Next up is the concussion missile. It's a fairly simple point-and-shoot rocket. Damage is pretty low, but it does have its uses. Next up is the flash missile. Very similar to a concussion missile, but at short range, you can white out your screen with it if you're careless. The boss on level 16 uses a homing version of this weapon that is extremely difficult to avoid and very powerful. Next up is the homing missile. Those of you that watched my Let's Play know that I love this weapon. Its main advantage is that it seeks targets. It's also literally twice as powerful as a concussion missile. So for every 2 concussion missiles you fire, you can do the same damage as a homing missile. Next up is the guided missile. The guided missile functions in 2 formats. Primarily, you'll be using it in the guided format. However, if you right-click, it switches to auto-seeking mode. It's about as powerful as 2 homing missiles. This is a very good advantage. Do not use it against bosses, however. This is the proximity mine. Nothing real special about it. Something bumps into it, it blows up. Like that. This is the smart mine. Those of you that watched my Let's Play video know that I love this weapon. When you either bump into it or hit it with a flare, it breaks into homing flechettes. At short range, you'll notice that it also has the same properties as a proximity mine. In multiplayer, this weapon is extremely devastating if you use it in dive bombing attacks. Next up is the Smart Missile. The Smart Missile lives up to its name by being a standard dumbfire rocket until it strikes something, at which point it releases homing plasma flechettes that are very damaging. In multiplayer, you can use this weapon to pull double duty very similarly to the proximity bomb, or the smart mine, I mean. You can fire it at somebody, hit them, and the homing flechettes will immediately strike them. Next up is the Mercury Missile. This weapon has the highest velocity of all missiles. It's got about the same power as a homing missile does. It also has a very slow firing rate, comparatively speaking, of course. Next up is the Mega Missile. The Mega Missile is very powerful. It has a wide blast radius and can be used to destroy many robots at once. You'll notice that firing it shoves the ship. And finally, the Earthshaker Missile. The Earthshaker Missile is one of only 2 weapons that works on the final boss in terms of missiles. It is very, very powerful. In fact, the single most powerful weapon in the game, hands down. You'll notice here that it causes the mine to shudder and shake when you fire it. The homing flechettes add to this effect. Its power is roughly equal to 2 Mega Missiles, but combined with the Smart Missile's homing flechette ability, making this weapon extremely powerful. The final boss in both Descent 2 Counter-Strike and Descent 2 Vertigo use this weapon. However, in Descent 2 Vertigo, it also uses a Mega Missile. It is important to keep this in mind. And then you also have a surprisingly basic weapon, the Flare. The Flare only does 1 damage when it strikes something. It's not really that useful, although it can be annoying in multiplayer. Now, I'd like to show you a glitch with the fusion cannon. I'll be back shortly. Hello again, Queen Rain here, and I'm here to return with the fusion cannon bug that I promised in previously. I'm here on the last level of the game. This is Tycho Brahe again. And any boss that resists energy weapons will have this glitch, meaning the bosses on levels 16, 20, and 24 all have this bug. Or, my apologies, the bosses on level... Wait, yes, that's right. Or no, that's not right. The bosses on level 12, which is Brimspark, and 16, which is Lime Frost, will both have this glitch. I'm not sure what causes it, but it's sort of entertaining. If you work at it, you can actually kill the final boss of the fusion cannon, which, like I said, you really got to work at it. And that does it for the weapon tutorial video, and I will see you guys again on my next project. Look for that very soon. This is Queen Rain,